At the time, I can't remember because it was before Zom Chizura.
Okay. So maybe let's start from one. How did you...
Pane mkomana anonzi Shoko.
Yeah.
I can't forward something. I can forward it to you, asking me to confirm a series of questions you asked Strive.
Okay. Yeah, that.
Are you aware that I was paying salaries, rentals, legal fees for Strive Masiwa?
No, how did you meet Strive?
That's important. Just 1 minute. Come in. Davy? Just a second. My son wants to rush to church.
Okay, no problem.
Just a second. Davy? Were you knocking on my door? Okay. This is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the army, in the defense forces.
Mm-hmm.
And Strive had started a company called Retrofit.
Yeah.
And then, together with the Wengesai brothers,
yeah,
Charles Wengesai and Wilfred Wengesai, who was deputy PEMSEC construction,
yeah,
they started a company called construction. I'll give you the construction company, Omega. You know, it's Omega Construction.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the Wengesais, one was the architect, and the other one was the acting PEMSEC. So they could not be active drivers of the projects, and so Strive became the front.
Okay.
And I think 40% shareholders, and the brothers had 30-30.
Mm-hmm.
That's the company yakaisa jurawo kwa Zimbabwe kwa Mugabe.
Oh, is that the one you was complaining about?
Ndo yakaisa jurawo iyo. Then Retrofit yakaita my electrical works ukoko.
Okay, that's right.
Yes, so because the Wengesais are uncles to me.
Yeah.
I then met Strive ukoko kunana Wengesai, and his partner was Goredema, Stanley Goredema.
Oh, Stan
Goredema was Strive's partner. Stanley, the company ends AEI.
Okay.
Angari partner Strive Retrofit.
Okay.
Yeah. Strive got a facility ku IFC ku Retrofit.
That I know.
And he failed to make good leading Kunana Chambati coming in.
Yeah.
And taking over.
Yeah.
Valley TA Holdings, if you remember.
That's right.
Exactly. Then Strive did a dirty reversal deal now, which led him to take their Masasa head office. You remember the Masasa head office?
Yeah.
That's how he paid for it, by exiting in Retrofit.
Oh. So how did he pay for it?
It's believed, I don't have the details, it's believed he opted out of the Retrofit completely, and the shares that would have been compensated for TA then gave him rentals for that place with the option to buy.
Yeah.
It's the option to buy that he then exercised, but he exercised it at the highly discounted rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when Strive did not start a telecoms business in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Solomon Mujuru, Chemist Siziva, James Makamba, and Strive were partners.
Yeah.
And they went to Rwanda to meet one Miko Rwaitare.
Yeah.
And they would come and set up a telecoms business in Zimbabwe.
That's right.
On their way from Rwanda, Strive stopped over in South Africa, and his colleagues proceeded to Harare.
Yeah.
After a few meetings in South Africa, Strive went back to Rwanda to meet Miko Rwaitare.
Yeah.
That is how Strive and Miko struck a deal, and Miko cut a deal of sponsoring Strive to do something on his own.
Yeah.
And to also work with James separately, because James had said to Miko, Strive he is not going to succeed.
Yeah.
So Miko hedged his losses by supporting Makamba to bid for Telecel and supporting Strive to do his Econet project. Makamba then was working with Leo Mugabe, if you remember.
That's right.
Yeah. Unbeknown to Strive, Mamujuru was the Minister of Communications. So by undercutting Solomon, he picked a fight, Nani? Mamujuru, that is the initial stages.
Yeah.
He then was linked up to an American company known as the Southwestern Bell.
Yeah.
Southwestern Bell is the project he came with to me to say, we can do this telecoms project, we can do this, and I've got this American investor and so on. But because I need salaries and rentals.
Yeah.
So I began advancing monies just as a loan which I was to be repaid.
Yeah.
And when it continued, I then asked for equity.
Yeah.
And then I borrowed money from NMB, Kunana, Zimuto, and Francis.
Yeah.
I gave him at the time another 7 million. I won the tender to IT for IT Kunasa.
Yeah.
Through an Apfungwa Serima. And they paid me 50% in advance.
Yeah.
I gave that money to Econet.
Yeah.
To pay for Anna Judith O'Neill to come from America and fight in Econet's corner with Kenta and Imamen. Dindakabadala mafize Kenta and Imamen kuya.
Yeah.
Achidilana na Gabi wana Kenta achifamba usiku wachimanipuleta vanhu vachapro chamachachi.
Yeah.
Kusvika kwazouya anzi ndiani kwakauya kubva kuSouth Africa. Tron Groove era.
Tron Groove, yeah.
Yes. All that was lined up through Vanadi Bobon.
Yeah.
And I was forking out the fees to Econet to pay them.
Yeah.
In the end, it harmed my company, the operations of my IT company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the anticipated period for the payback yanga isiri manifesta.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an opportunity in Botswana in 1995.
But first, how did you become a shareholder?
By converting debt into equity.
In which company now?
In Mascom,
Mm-hmm.
a Mascom owning 100% of Econet.
Mascom Holdings was a company registered in Zimbabwe.
No, at the time he purported that it was licensed.
Okay, so you subscribed for shares. Or he said, the money you owe me, I will then give you shares in Mascom.
Yes, that's why I have the share allotment form that indicated I've got 25% in Mascom. Mascom then owned 100% of Econet. We didn't want to go directly into Econet because we then were aware that we would invite other shareholders at a private placement.
Okay, so there was already an intent that Econet would be a vehicle to raise capital in the public domain,
yes,
without a track record.
It was going to have to create the track record through a private placement, not an IPO.
A private placement, okay.
Yes.
So you were 25% shareholder. Who else was a shareholder?
I can give you the details shortly.
All right.
In fact, let you talk while I get the file.
All right.
Yeah. I remember he must have been 60%.
Okay.
No, he's quite a. And a lot of people want a Bible, you see.
No, yeah. You will put the Bible in front.
And after praying, you start operating.
And he's anointed.
In faith.
He is anointed.
It's supposed to be here. I'll find it. So what then happened was we then had an opportunity to tender for in Botswana. And I told him, that is my area of specialty. You quit prepare my tender because of my IT skills.
Yeah.
So I led the team to Botswana 5 days before the close of tender, and we had to divide ourselves up.
Yeah.
Nemkomana anonzi Jeff Muzvimbi. Jeff Muzvimbi.
Royal Bank.
I started Royal Bank.
You're not serious?
Yes. If you find their first address and their application to Reserve Bank, the directors were going to be Jeff Muzvimbi, Daniel Shuba, Dryjad Simba, and Hadwick Pemiwa.
Okay.
And that the security being offered Daniel Shuba's shares in Econet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
the Reserve Bank application yanga ichisekirwa namashare angu emuEconet.
Yeah.
Which was 25% in Mascom. And Patterson Timber anga ari ku NMB.
Yeah.
Ndiye aita basically advisory.
Yeah.
Saka chitsotsi chose chaitwa na Strive. His accomplice was mainly Patterson Timber.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. You are aware, Kuti, I raised these issues in the court case in NASA against Niger Chanakira.
No, I don't have those papers here.
Oh, in NASA, ilipo pa internet, yakalistwa.
Okay.
Yeah, NASA versus Niger Chanakira.
Okay.
And Kingdom.
Yeah.
Where the court dismissed evidence in Niger and they relied on mine.
Yeah.
Saka nokuda kwanda Strive nachijira usiku vakazoenda kuna chijira usiku vakawana remedy yavaida.
Okay.
Chijira usiku then set aside the High Court judgment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I will certainly have this share allotment in Mascom. Yenasai anditi ndima mama ndibata payaka muchifunga kuti mbavha ndini mukazowana kuti no ndakatobigwawo.
Because Auntie Nigel, up to now, he says I caused the problems for him. No, but I created a case that was not there. And I got him arrested.
No, you never got him arrested. He was arrested because he stole. And the reason he came to attempt to restitute was because he had stolen.
Yeah, he says no. That information should never have come in the public domain.
Well, it was done on shares that were traded in public, public shares.
So, okay, but I think the record is, so there was Mascom Holdings. Then it turned out that Mascom was not a registered entity.
Yeah, Mascom Private Limited. It turns out Mascom was not a registered entity.
So who provoked the conversion into TSM?
It was now Fekti Kuti Strive needed. Yeah, no, I've got the wrong file. Strive now needed to manipulate my shares.
Okay.
He created TSM.
Yeah.
Which is basically a family company that he always had.
Mm-hmm.
TS Masiwa Holdings.
Okay.
Coming, David. Yeah. And TS Masiwa Holdings. Then he held 435 million shares in Econet.
Mm-hmm.
On listing, it translated to 60%.
Yeah.
290 million shares were offered to the public. So for Strive not to dilute, akaenda nesu ari 60% shareholder.
Yeah.
And then he introduced his wife and he gave a 7% shareholding.
Mm-hmm.
And then Inini, from my 15 in Mascom.
Is it 15 or 25?
I mean, from 25 in Mascom, I ended up with 10 in TS Masiwa Holdings.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Mujimbi, who wasn't in Mascom, appeared with 15%.
Yeah.
Now, so it's clear where my 15% went to.
Okay.
And this is how we picked a fight to Royal Bank.
Oh.
Because now Jeff could secure his own shares by the equity he had got from Strive.
Oh.
And the Strive was going to work with Royal Bank eventually to do what he's now doing with Chilco Bank again,
Stewart, yeah.
Yeah. It is because the Royal Bank project failed. That is why he gave my shares to Jeff Mujimbi, because I quit as Stewart.
Okay. So you now have 10% of TSM. And that was before the award of the license.
It was about the time, actually.
Okay, so how was the license awarded? On what financial basis was Econet awarded?
The license was awarded by court, which was wrong.
Yeah.
The court was simply asked by Strive to he sought the right to communicate.
Yeah.
Which right was granted, and that right should have been granted on terms and conditions that had been stipulated in the tender document.
Yeah.
But the court went beyond its bound, the Supreme Court, to direct the government to issue Strive a license.
Okay. So the court didn't do due diligence.
The court didn't do due diligence, or rather the state's attorneys did not challenge the order being sought by Strive.
Yeah. Okay. So now
vakavhunduka vana Tron Groove navamwe ava, they were busy, vana Chris Anderson havaihuta.
Yeah. Okay. So now he is granted license, and
Yes.
then you are now a shareholder.
Now, Strive could not meet the terms of the license to pay the license fees.
Okay.
So he went around to cut deals.
Okay. And who were the counterparties to the deals?
It was, first of all, just to give you a bit of background, one of the instigations why I wanted to leave was a result, he was making unilateral decisions now that he had the license. The banks were all over him, everybody was running to him, and he was making unilateral decisions that included without directors' resolutions.
Yeah.
And people would come to pass resolutions, after the horses have already bolted. More like to come and sanctify Jaita.
Okay.
Yeah. So I decided, no, I no longer want to exit.
Yeah.
And the only future and I just could tell the corporate governance is I didn't know Ziva. Rather exit now than be part to your deeds. And
Yeah.
I'm being vindicated now because clearly I would have been caught up in the corruption that was happening.
Yeah.
Vakazosara volista ininda indicator my intention to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were negotiating Kunasa, Vaitamadu, with people like Vanariva, Nigel, and so on.
And Nigel, what was his connection with NASA?
No, Nigel had a certain vehicle, a stockbroking firm, and Nigel was now a 2.4% shareholder in TS Masiwa Holdings.
Okay, but did he disclose that to NASA?
I don't know. He couldn't have disclosed it. But vakangopiwa donations Strive nominating as Jeff Muzvimbi, they'd never paid. There was no money paid to Econet that they got. And eventually, Strive decided, okay, 4 or 5 years ago,
yeah.
Because you don't decide to just pay back my loan when I'm a shareholder. Don't share appreciation.
Yeah.
That was the fight. Eventually, this is why I still want to pick a fight over the 25%.
Okay.
Yeah. But first, you can't unilaterally decide on Mariako.
Yeah.
At what value? Now that there's a license card, value Yasiana. Because if it was not for my money, you would never have gotten to court to fight that license.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the background, and I know he was cutting deals in the first mutual. I know Utai Dilana na Lishon Chipanga. Angari kupi Lishon those days.
Old mutual.
Lishon Diangari old mutual. Do I Dilana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you are still a shareholder, and
yes.
But not a director.
Well, directors changed. Whenever you thought he never followed corporate governance, kana kuita Sierra 14. Maingo unganidzwa muna mato director kana wanyanya kumprofita zvanoda.
Okay.
You must remember, at some point you came with Chwanda Mira.
We came to meet with you, and no, I met you in the Strive.
Yes.
Yeah.
We first met at the Sheraton, and then we met at the office.
Yeah, the office, yeah.
Yes. If you remember, in Nigeria, the main shareholder.
No, yeah. You confirmed the shares, yeah.
Yes. The director, angasingapindi negotiations ndisipo achida strength yangu.
Yeah.
And you see this man, he's coming from the World Bank on a high horse,
Yeah.
He thinks he can grab our thing. Equality is our thing.
Our thing.
Because it's my company.
Yeah.
Saka, what is amazing is all these people who are writing about this seem to want to avoid to talk about Daniel Shumba.
No, one, they don't know.
How do they think he got to court? Where was the money coming from?
No, you see, his version has a lot of omissions.
Oh, yes. In fact, he doesn't even talk about me in his whatever. I'm told he wrote something, biography, whatever. He doesn't want to hear about me because I was the only person who challenged him in this dirty thing.
Yeah.
They said they were busy clipping their hands because they'd been donated to. In the end, my rights.
Yeah.
Up to now, I know
yeah, no, you will not, because you know too much.
Yeah, but I'm told this is very confidential, and I'm just sharing it to you without prejudice.
Yeah.
I'm told Ndianga finance my daughter could delay na my wacho over what is now my divorce case.
Okay. Oh, does he know her?
Yeah, he knows my children. I mean, we know my wife Natsitsiwana Toziwana very well. Because remember, in Bayopa Tengeswa, I had to come in Chiangwa, I told her I should go at Zinga with to arrange to tipe Chiangwa Mariake.
You're not serious? Okay, so you reckon you would this issue externalization, does it hold water?
It does, because Strive can never explain how he raised capital in other jurisdictions. He then formed what he calls Equinet International.
That is after you left.
Yes.
Okay.
Not even after I left. About the time.
At the time of the IPO, were you still a shareholder?
Yes, because remember I had to exit on the value of trading shares.
Mm.
I had indicated my exit, but they only processed it much later, 2000, almost 4 years later.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, Strive ndiye akaenda kuPortras achidhira nachairman wePortras nevamwe kuti vandiumburudze pasi nyaya yelicense yangu yeteleaccess.
You're not serious.
Project iri kuitwa neLiquid Telecoms naStrive. Na manager wacho Makamre was my general manager transmission. That is my project, and I Comtel. I won it. It's there. It's listed.
You're not serious.
Yes, the business plan nama site acquisitions. Zimbabwe ndikaenda kuChina kuno negotiate fiber. Nananyasha makuvise.
Oh.
But he then employed the team I had.
Okay.
And he started the Liquid Telecoms.
Oh, now I see the connection.
Yes.
But I didn't know Makamre was, you knew Makamre.
Makamre worked for me. Both Winston worked for me ku systems technology. Wellington worked for me as transmission manager, general manager transmission ku teleaccess.
So, okay. So
yeah.
he says the Econet Capital provides equipment to Econet Zimbabwe.
Strive ndiye akatanga kuita transfer pricing.
Okay.
So if you investigate with Aitenga Chi ku ZTE neku Huawei for how much, and then Econet Capital would then invoice Econet Zimbabwe at greatly inflated prices.
Okay.
Which Econet Zimbabwe would pay. If you remember, there was a case here fraud yakaiswa ku Zimra where in some of my equipment here, duty-free telecoms, my base stations, yaipinda mu Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I found mune zvinhu zvesolar, nei, and so on. Zvaipinda.
Yeah, I see my base stations.
Exactly. In that case, yaibata Tawanda Nyambirai.
You're not serious?
Yes. You remember Tawanda Nyambirai became chairman of Econet because he was the most trusted conspirator.
Okay. I remember there was no many Nyazema.
Yeah, Nyazema was too docile. Wakaisa chiloya ichi ndochaibata kawana chichira usiku nana Beatrice Mtetwa zvichiita makesi for Strive.
Okay.
Vachibhadharwa offshore vachifamba first class.
So this involves judges as well.
Yes.
Okay. So on the
especially chidya usiku.
Oh, he was eating at night.
This is why my judgments aibuda akadero.
So he says now he is the father of anti-corruption fights.
Aiwa, ambodi kuvhunzwa izvozvo, andangovhunzwa nyaya shoma kuti how did you finance your contribution in Mascom, Botswana?
That's one. How did he finance the contribution to TSM? Because yours, I can understand you're paying for legal costs.
Yeah.
How did he end up with the 60%?
Ndini muridzi wecompany saka kana achida mashares mangu ari worth so much saka whatever is left is mine. It's a private entity, it's a public entity.
Okay, so the first thing is now is he goes for an IPO without capital.
No. Before he went for an IPO, you need to know this, Mawere. Strive and me came to South Africa.
Yeah.
To negotiate for equipment ne Siemens, South Africa, and Ericsson, South Africa.
Were you part of that meeting?
Taitogara pakalana yakunzi iripana Catherine Street apa. It was not part of that meeting. It was him and me, 3-2.
Okay.
Yes, we didn't have anybody else. Vamwe vedu vese vanga vari kuZimbabwe nemaengineer taitodhila navo nemafax.
So you are
tichitira ma meeting edu pa Santon Towers.
So are you saying that there was no a cash contribution on his part?
Maybe in registering Mascom and Econet. And
so just the registration.
Maybe the initial stages of.
So these were all pre-operating costs. There was no new money that he was to provide.
Yeah, now I'm trying to get to a point where you see what he did. That we were part of the negotiation. INI is a 25% shareholder
of Mascom.
Of Mascom and so on. Ta negotiate ne Siemens and Ericsson. Siemens was cheaper than Ericsson.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Ericsson and said, Imimi tachikudai but takwenda edu Siemens nokuti they are giving us a better what?
Deal.
Better deal. Vari kuchipa free training and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So Ericsson then said, well, we'll do the same, we'll reduce our price slightly and we'll also give you free training.
Yeah.
But your deal just meets what Siemens is doing. We know Gutikanata Life, Siemens will give us an intelligent network.
Yeah.
Eventually, Wakatoa, they will also give us a what?
An intelligent network.
An intelligent network. And they will train our engineers for free. And they will second my engineers out to us for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that's a good deal, but there's a hairline difference here. What else can you throw in? Tangatanzwa information yokuti ku Durban. Ericsson yakambouya a containerized switch yavakambo deploy ukoko.
Mm-hmm. For Chogam.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Ericsson then threw in that switch for free.
Mm-hmm.
Into the deal.
Okay.
That's the switch that came to install a Willowville Uko.
Yeah.
And he started testing and going live, and it started the initial.
So it was creating the atmosphere, the right atmosphere.
Creating the atmosphere.
That we are ready.
And not only, although we didn't have technical partners, vendors, we now had already demonstrated that we can switch on and communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And although our agreement was at that point, we should go for a private placement.
Okay.
So that we launch full service and go IPO. Strive was now in a hurry to go IPO so he can conquer the world.
Okay. So, but IPO now, there is TSM Masiwa Holdings that is represented as a shareholder.
Correct.
100% shareholder of Econet.
Correct.
Then it was seeking to dilute to 60%.
Correct.
in return for new.
No. It was not diluting to 60%.
Yeah.
It was issuing new shares.
Okay, which is dilution, isn't it?
Because it's dilution, but by implication, when you say dilute, you then assume the premium will accrue to the existing shareholders.
No. Yeah, you issue the shares so that if you have 100 shares, let's say you issue new shares 60, it will end up with a capital of 160 shares.
Exactly.
And then you end up with 60% or whatever of that.
Yes. What I was just explaining.
But no, you are not putting money. You are coming to the market and say, I am the registered shareholder with 100 shares at a par value of $1.
Exactly.
And then you invite others and you are saying now, I will now issue at a different price because I now hold a license.
I now hold a license.
So the license becomes a part of.
I also have a switch.
That's
and
right.
I'm already ready to go public with my operation.
But in truth and fact, you are not putting any new money.
No new money because
and no valuation. No shareholder was allowed to value these expenses, pre-operating expenses, in a transparent manner.
Yeah, but that was done by Deloitte and Touche.
Okay.
I remember the managing partner achipiwa whisky kumba kwa Strive kwa achingo sign mapepa achita zvaida zvaingoitika. He compromised everybody.
No, yeah, I'm saying is without compromising anybody, there was
not have gone through the IPO's stringent due diligence. Econet would not have passed it. First, it had no track record apart from a litany of legal challenges.
Yeah.
And second, besides a few engineers that had been seconded to Econet by vendors and a contractor called Ericom that was assisting setting up the infrastructure in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Econet had no skills. Among us, we were not sufficiently experienced to convince corporate Zimbabwe to put monies in our possession for the purposes of rolling out such a large operation.
Did NASA invest in Econet or in TSM?
In Econet.
Okay.
Yes.
At IPO.
At IPO, yes.
Okay.
And after IPO, my shares that I sold, which I held in Econet through TSM, were bought by NASA.
All right. So, so you are saying that without a Strive's personal hand and personal knowledge, nobody would have been compromised. Because TSM could not compromise anybody. TSM was just a company with
just a shelf company. It was a shelf company. It didn't have even a single office in anywhere in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. So he was the mastermind of the scheme with all this timber, NMB, Deloitte, and stock exchange. All
Timber Nyambirai.
Yeah.
Stock exchange and Nigel.
Yeah. So he had a whole
it was a series of insider trading because people would be able to know that this investment apart.
Yeah. Perfect.
So what I wanted to say, that equipment here, its value was never proportionally given to shareholders. No, its value all accrued to Strive Masiwa's contribution.
Okay, so he then appropriates all the goodwill of Econet into personal shares.
Yeah, as his contribution to the company.
To the company.
So akangotora value yeswitch yacho akati izvi zviri kubva Strive Masiwa ndio imwe mari yandauya naye.
Okay. So now he's got the whole thing in what? In perspective.
So now when investors come and they can see kuti wakatobvisa mari ukatenga chinhu chiri kusevenza ichi chiri pano, it increases your credibility.
But all that was a fraudulent misrepresentation.
Indeed, because there was no transaction for that switch.
So he concealed the true nature of the transaction.
No, he didn't. He falsified.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He misrepresented the true nature of the transaction.
Yeah, and he knew facts that he had no money to put in, and the only way he could get shares was to represent as if there was value when there was no value.
Yes, because if he had money, he would not have needed me to lend him money.
That's right. So he represented that he had spent money of his own.
Yes.
And that he had suffered at the hands of this terrible Mugabe, who was part of the representation to the markets.
Without mentioning that he had undermined his previous partners, and as a consequence found it difficult to go past the Ministry of Communication to get a license.
Yeah, so he knew he could never get a license on the bona fides because he had no technical partner himself. He was a technical partner himself. So he came to the license authorities presenting no financial capacity at all.
Strive is a mendacious person.
Okay.
Yes, basically you must know. Is untruthful, unreliable, unfaithful, and manipulating. He's a mendacious person.
But he may argue that I'm not mendacious because I was anointed by God.
No. It's about him. You see, you must know that Strive is probably one of the most power-hungry people I've ever met.
What do you mean power-hungry?
Oh.
Yeah?
Strive is ultimate. If it was not for fear, the problem is he's got fear as well. He's also an afraid prick. If it was not for fear, by now he would have challenged for president.
You're not serious.
I'm telling you. This is why he found himself sponsoring Wana Trangirai, cutting deals and so on.
So you are
like me, he found it very difficult to manipulate a guy like me because my manner and character. And secondly, I was not negotiating with him looking for a job like Wana Jeff.
Oh, so now he says to the public, I don't have a partner, and the license had a condition that 60% must be held by indigenous. So TSM is the indigenous entity Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. If you remember, in terms of the telecommunications policy rules and indigenization policy, telecommunications had to be held by Zimbabweans up to 60%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of that law, he insisted, but that was against foreign shareholding, not against local stock exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what he wanted 60% for was to control the companies so that he cannot be diluted further, because the 60% shares were not trading. What was trading was the 40%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he is saying, I'm the big boy now.
He financially is now a big boy. Is sufficiently siphoned money. If you look at the tariffs in Zimbabwe and the fees they continue to pay to Econet International and Econet Capital, they're the ones sustaining his lavish styles in South Africa and UK.
Okay, so he does this IPO, and no one asks who is funding the bill. Debentures were issued to First Mutual Life, and First Mutual Life subscribed for shares. So it was both shares and debentures.
Yes.
So he now has the funding. He then pays off the bills.
He pays off the license and imports a few other pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
now that he has paid for the license, the share price then goes up.
Yeah. So the money to pay for the license came from the IPO. Is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
And when he was granted the license, there was no IPO.
No, he had no value. He was just as good as a vendor down the road.
So the license was granted on the basis of speculation.
No.
Because how would the license...
The license was granted on the basis of a poor defense by the state, because they were compromised.
I'm just saying is when it was granted, it's true that there was no funding to make good on the license, except the money for the license was to come from third parties who needed the license in the first place. So what you are saying is that
by the time the license was issued, he had sufficient information from the judicial powers that he's going to be granted the license, and the government.
No, I'm saying is the link between when you are granted license, that transaction of the license, you must have the capacity to pay for the license. You can't say, give me the license, then I'll go and look for the money. Then the license was improperly granted. Okay.
I'm trying to give you what was happening. The license was issued on the 31st of December, 1997. Strive had already started preparing with NMB for capital raising. There was anticipation, because there was sufficient information from the circles that the license would be granted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is when it was granted, you can't grant to somebody who doesn't have the license, the money.
An amount needed to be paid before December 1998, before the first anniversary of the license.
So I'm saying is the amount needed to be paid, but if the banks, if the First Mutual and the NASA had not bought into this scheme and they were not compromised, it means there was the license was granted on the basis of non-disclosure that there was no money.
There was no requirement to disclose to the court the source of money.
I'm saying is if you know that I don't have something, I'm a man of straw, then I go to the bank and make a commitment to pay something that I don't have.
Yeah, but I want to put it this way, Bounty. If I know kuti ndinamukoma wangu Bounty, anditi?
Yeah.
Andita assure kuti kwaine license ndichakupa mari.
But that's public funds. Nobody can assure anyone with public. I can't go to NASA.
No, but I want you to know that NASA and First Mutual had been captured, had been compromised.
No, that is the point I want to come out, that they were without knowledge, because fraud involves knowledge. I have to know something in advance that I have people I have captured for me to be able to be a beneficiary of the license in the manner in which it was granted.
So Potras then said to Strive, here is a license and here are the payment terms. The first installment must be made within 24 hours of issuance of a license.
Yeah.
And the person doing that is already a captured person who asked Strive, I can't go beyond 1 year. Can you raise money before 1 year? And they say, yes, we can. And
so there was a discussion. Ordinarily, the license fee would have been paid at the time you get the license. Otherwise, there's no exchange of value. So in this case, he was given 12 months to pay.
Exactly.
Which is unusual. Because you are getting a license day one and you have not paid for it.
Exactly.
So that was a preference, is it? That was granting credit to Econet by Potras.
It then became standard. Potras then used that.
No, I'm just saying is on the balance sheet of Econet, it will have.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It gave Econet value without Econet having paid for that value.
So that was obtaining public credit.
Yes, but I'm trying to say to you, they then used that.
No, they had to.
Every other.
I'm saying they had to use that, but the instigator and the primary beneficiary, because Telecel had a partner.
Mm-hmm.
The Empowerment Corporation had a partner in Telecel. Strive went in without a partner, which means his partner was state functionary, including Potras.
Exactly. People. You capture it well.
Yeah. So he had compromised everybody to give him sufficient confidence that his scheme will come to pass.
Yeah, but there's something you are rushing me before I tell you this.
Okay then.
The judgment Econet would have been issued earlier than the 31st of December 1997.
Yeah.
But it was not prudent to do that. This is why we negotiated for equipment. And when we got equipment, we needed time to have that switch to come to Zimbabwe tested. And we needed over close to 12 months. So the announcement of the license was delayed until December, after the equipment had already been on its way.
So everybody was confident that the representation made by Strive on behalf of Econet and TSM Masiwa were on point, factual, and bona fide. So he already knew that NASA would put money. He already knew that First Mutual would put money, and that he would not need any external help. He did not need to give up any shares. Otherwise, he would have needed a technical partner.
Yes.
So all
he was so confident. He was so confident of that money that he now was able to kick Wanashumba in the face.
So he already knew what other people did not know.
Exactly.
And the reason is, and the question is, how did he know what other parties who had their own boards, who had their own governance systems, were going to do without him compromising them or their systems or their procedures?
That's the point.
All right. So he leaves Zimbabwe. When he left Zimbabwe, were you aware that he was leaving?
No, I was not aware because I was not a shareholder then.
Okay, he says he left because Mugabe was after his ass.
No. If you remember, Strive was even having board meetings in Zimbabwe through radio link from South Africa because he was afraid of coming.
Why was he afraid? Because he says, I couldn't stay because I was Mugabe's biggest enemy.
All right, let him come now. Why is he not coming now?
No, he says the time he left, it was Mugabe who personally was trying to decimate him. So if Mugabe was trying to decimate him, would he have gotten money from NASA?
This is the point.
Yeah?
But not only that, Chiangwa wanted to clean him on First Mutual, and he went and compromised Chiangwa.
Okay, so now there is a First Mutual issue. And the Strive and Chiangwa had a relationship.
Yeah.
Was Strive part of IBDC?
Yes, he was the first Secretary General.
So he was also in the affirmative action movement.
IBDC, not AAG.
No, I'm saying they were all asking for indigenous affirmation.
Yes, I was also a member of IBDC.
Yeah. So this is now people who are fighting what they call white system.
Yeah.
So you can't say he liked white controlling the economy.
Well, you can't put it exactly that way.
Okay, but he was not one of those people who would be called an apologist for whites. Otherwise, he couldn't be a member of IBDC.
Strive was basically fostering self-interest in IBDC to get to where he wanted faster than going the legal or procedural way.
All right.
He needed that endorsement.
But as a citizen, you were not aware that Mugabe personally was involved in Strive's departure, but Chiangwa, because First Mutual was, in truth and fact, an investor at the IPO.
Strive was never sought by Mugabe. He's lying.
You can confirm that?
I can confirm that.
All right. So
if you've got a litany of corrupt issues that are being investigated, you then can't allege that it's the head of state who's after you. He was now taking advantage of the opposition issues that were now apparent in the country, the constitutional debates. Remember the referendum earlier in 2000?
And also on your shares that became subject of a dispute with the kingdom. Strive did not know anything that you were cheated.
He knew.
He also.
He was working with Nigel Chanakira in all terms and purposes.
So he knew the shares were sold at $2.25.
Strive had to authorize the shares to be sold to NASA because these were shares in Econet held through a vehicle for which Strive was the chairperson, TS Masiwa Holdings.
So are you confident that
NASA was going to hold the 35,000 shares through TS Masiwa Holdings and would only sell them to a future member of TS Masiwa Holdings in order to ensure that TS Masiwa Holdings does not dilute its 60% shareholding in Econet.
Oh, so there was a catch to those shares.
Yes, there was some conditionality which
so
was
he
not
didn't want to come foul of the indigenization clause.
Yes, of the 60% shareholding.
Okay, so he again to Potrazi and other people that was never revealed that effectively NASA was now a shareholder that had the effect of diluting by 10%.
Yes, this is why an extraordinary general meeting had to be called on 15 January 1999 to ensure that First Kingdom stockbrokers was going to be appointed, the stockbroker, to sell the shares to friendly buyers. And let me read the particular clause to you.
Yeah.
I have it here. Yeah. The only circumstances under which this could be allowed is if NMB controlled the disposal mechanism to prevent capital flight. NMB would use two of the issuing houses used at the time of listing, Kingdom Securities or Continental, because of their working relationship.
So it was a limited cycle.
Those were the people authorized to
deal with those shares.
Exactly.
And it was done so because of this concealment.
Yes. And why NMB? Because of Tawanda, Patson Timber.
So he knew if it had gone to Edwards or another stockbroker, that may have caused a lot of problems.
Yes.
And presumably
the shareholders agreement was actually drafted by Tawanda Nyambirai.
Yeah. And they didn't want to upset the apple cart.
Yes.
So NASA, even Nigel, knew where to dispose of your shares.
Yes.
And this was unlisted security.
It was listed, but non-trading.
No, TSM. was not listed.
Yeah, but the shares being issued were Econet shares held through TSM.
No. I'm saying is first, did Strive have a relationship with Econet?
Yes.
How so?
Strive was at all terms and purposes was the chief executive.
No. In terms of shareholding.
Yes, he was the chairman of the 60% shareholder.
No. Did Strive hold any shares in
Econet? It's possible that he may privately have bought shares.
No, I'm saying is that
anybody else.
Do you agree that TSM is not Strive?
I agree that TSM is not Strive.
So Strive and you were not shareholders of what? Econet. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it was the TSM that was the registered holder of the shares.
Yes.
So and Strive was an employee of Econet.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were also a shareholder of TSM, but not a shareholder of Econet. So the rights of shareholders was vested in TSM, not Strive.
Let me read you something here. At this point, Norman Nyazema was a chairman, huh?
Yeah.
Norman Nyazema requested to know if these two requests were mutually exclusive, to which Strive Masiwa, who is the chairman of TSM Holdings, replied that one could consider them from any perspective, the point being that the issues needed to be discussed, however one viewed them.
And what did he mean?
Nomen Nyazema then indicated that he required clarification of the phrase or some as presented in the shareholders agreement.
Yeah.
Strive Masiwa confirmed that the first shareholder was entitled to sell all or some of his shares in Econet. The question was how much. So whatever I was selling were my shares in Econet, but just held through TS Masiwa as the registered holder, but the residual value was Econet shares.
No, which is misrepresentation. Because you can't hold something through something. Either you hold or you don't hold. Your rights are as against TSM. That's where you are a shareholder. If we call for a shareholders meeting in Econet, who would need to be represented?
It is TS Masiwa.
Yeah. If we hold a shareholders meeting in TSM, you had to be part of that meeting anyway.
Yes.
Not the meeting of TSM, of Econet.
Yes.
Yeah. So the law is clear as to where the limits of your involvement is. Then you operate via resolutions. There will be resolution in TSM, which can then be what? Inform the people who represent TSM in Econet. So what the shares that NASA was induced to buy by Nigel were shares in TSM. not shares in Econet. It so happened that TSM sole asset was its holding in Econet. Is that correct?
It's correct, though there was provision upon a shareholders agreement for a specific shareholder to be allowed to trade his Econet shares.
No,
So
that
not necessarily be...
that's trading, but the shares are not his. If
I'm saying,
yeah,
you, at some point, NASA was told, my shares, and you hold them, but you can't trade them for 2 years.
Yeah, I'm saying that was mischief. You are saying to a public institution, you buy, but I limit you. That dispensation NASA does not have. You can't suspend my right. I give you cash, then you tell me what to do with my property.
Hello, can I tell you something you've opened up here?
Yeah.
A serious fraud.
Yeah.
Another fraud. What shares were given to NASA after paying for them?
Yeah.
If they were Econet shares,
it was illegal because there was nothing to sell. Because you were not a shareholder in Econet.
This is the point. If NASA were given Econet shares, then those were just fraudulent pieces of paper.
That's right. So you could not never deal in Econet shares because you had no interest in Econet. You had interest in what? In TSM shares.
That's true. So you see, there's a litany.
That's what I'm saying. That this whole fraud starts from what? And the effect of the Reconstruction Act is to go beyond, in terms of its application, it applies even before you guys did a deal.
No, but can I say something else?
Yeah.
You'll be shocked.
Yeah.
The Econet prospectus
had
a different set of shareholders in Econet.
Yeah.
Than the shareholders that were listed in the shareholders agreements.
Where is that information?
It's the prospectus. If we look for the prospectus.
But who has a copy of the prospectus now? Stock exchange. Stock exchange must have it, yeah.
Yeah, they must have it. Because the prospectus list Shumba as a 2% shareholder.
Of what?
Of Econet.
No, then it was direct shareholding. Then how was that disposed? How did you dispose of your 2%?
This is the point. It says I was a 2% shareholder of Econet.
So that's misrepresentation because then you need that value. What happened to your shares?
All I'm saying is there's a lot of this misrepresentation to cause the Reconstruction to be applied.
You see? Yeah, so you are saying since somebody does not see any harm in the Reconstruction Act, why don't we use it as a remedy? Because it doesn't need a court. You don't need to get an order from court. All you need is to get a minister.
So I think let's allow this young man to push that one.
Yeah. So that so that there's an entry point where people with information must be what? On the other hand, you are saying that the Reconstruction Act is unconstitutional But to the extent that Strive is right that the sanctions must be removed without conditionalities, then why not apply it to address some of the residual questions that he will never be prepared to address in any forum?
Because once these things become topical, it's then possible for someone to sue the Minister of Justice.
Yeah, you now have a locus to say, look, it's common cause that the whole Econet matter was tainted with fraud. But now the president is now administering the Prevention of Corruption Act. And the same president is the one who is apparently talking on the phone with a fraudster who is out of the country. So how do we expect justice from the president who is already compromised by this chap? Would you expect the president to issue a specification order? Especially after cholera and all these other maneuvers.
Because he can afford to bring 10 million for cholera. After you've stolen over $1 billion, why can't you?
Yeah. So it's part of a bribe. It's part of state capture.
Yeah, I mean, the money is paying you. The interest accruing to him.
Yeah.
Per annum is much more than that.
So you've compromised the state, disabled the state apparatus, and you give them crumbs. And then the president, who is supposed to protect the public, he is now open for the crumbs. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'll send you an article, or yanga ichivunzwa nomwe mfana per group.
Perfect.
Just now.
All right. Okay.